Okay, just a heads up, I got a video coming out. This is Waterdeep Dragon Heist on the module, so if you don't want any module spoilers for that, just, it's up to you. If you don't want to watch it or something, just wait until you finish the module. All right, enjoy the video. When the new Waterdeep Dragon Heist book came out, myself and one other GM at my Adventures Link group decided to run it. I started by being responsible and taking my notes in my little notepad, and this was going to be a great game. We're going to be following the book and just going along, and it's going to be really cool. I came in to run my first session with my first level players, and we set out into the streets of Waterdeep on a brand new adventure. Partway through the first session, the other GM looks over to me and says, "Hey Ben, how's your table going?" Wordlessly, I lean over so that the players can't see me and give this look to him before leaning back. After the session was over, we met up and talked about our tables. I've had a lot of very chaotic sessions, but that was pretty out there.
Oh yeah, our table went off the rails a little bit. What happened at yours?
Well, it started at the Yawning Portal Tavern. We start with a gang fight that breaks out. They decided to tail behind them and reach their hideout.
That doesn't sound that bad.
Half of the party decides to tail. The rest of the group decides to stay behind at the tavern. So I have two maps drawn up on the board, one for the tavern group and the other for the people sneaking in the hideout.
Maybe they could scout it out beforehand.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But the whole sneaking around thing worked all the way up until they decided that the easiest way to get into the building was to blow a hole into the side wall of the main boss's chamber. What's worse is that normally the hideout wraps around the entire building, giving players a few easy encounters before arriving in the final room. But no, they just waltz in the final chamber, uninvited, and confront the boss, who's also a Mind Flayer.
Isn't the Mind Flayer like way higher level than them? I think he's supposed to, just run away from the fight and teleport out of there.
Yeah, well, he's supposed to run away. It's scripted that he starts throwing his minions at them and then teleports out of there. But because the players blew a hole in the back end of the building, they cut off his escape and barricaded the door. So now he has to fight. Meanwhile, back at the tavern, out pops a few Sturges and a troll, who's also high level. So the party's fighting two battles, one at the tavern, and the other with the Mind Flayer.
Wow, that sounds crazy difficult.
Actually, I know this sounds weird, but the Mind Flayer really wasn't tough at all. This one had a rapier with a swashbuckling hat on. I could dodge around making attacks, doing all these backflips and parrying with sword swings.
Wow, that sounds crazy.
I know, right?
No, I mean, it's literally crazy. Aren't Mind Flayers supposed to be like these genius psionics or something that could kill people with a mind?
Well, funny thing about that, 2 rounds into combat, I realized something really important. You know how the Mind Flayer's name is Nihilor? The book also has stats for a Nibblewright, and it's spelled like really, really similar to Nihilor. And the stats, right next to each other on the page of the monster section.
You were using the wrong stat block?
I was using the wrong stat block. So 2 rounds into it, I flipped over to the actually correct Mind Flayer statistics, and that was when I realized, oh yeah, they should not be fighting this thing, because I see that it has an ability where it can just wave his hand and instantly melt the entire party's brains and kill them in 1 round. So now I have to think of a reason why he doesn't do that?
What'd you end up doing?
I rack my brains trying to figure a way out of this dire situation and muster up all of my GMing knowledge, and what I do is I decide to have the Mind Flayer to point to them, and he says, "Hey, you guys, you're not supposed to be here. Get out of here. Go out. Yeah, that's what I thought. And don't you come back here, you whippersnappers." And they left, and that was how that happened. Meanwhile, back at the tavern, the group is still fighting the troll and Sturges, and one of the players goes down. But fortunately, out from the side comes the barkeep, who it turns out the bartender is like a 17th level fighter with magic weapons, and starts going to town on the troll, and he wins by himself and saves the other 2. Hooray! The day is saved! And the group met up again, and that was where that session ended. The players were following a trail of clues that eventually led them to Xanathar's lair. This villain was a beholder, a floating head with eye stalks, and gangster in the city of Waterdeep, who ran a crime ring, with his closest ally and second in command, Silgar. The goldfish. Yes, the goldfish.
I think he knew what he was doing the whole time, didn't he? What do you think, Silgar? Yes, a traitor. How should we handle this, Silgar? Yes, Silgar, we should make him an example to others who defy us.
The goldfish was the only thing, other than himself, that the beholder cared about, and he made sure that that fish was well cared for.
Look at them, Silgar. They're nothing but ants beneath us. Nothing but crawling ants. Right, Silgar? Silgar? How's it going, Silgar? You're not talking much. Not feeling well? You want some treats? I got some treats here for you. Silgar? Okay, here's some treats. There you go.
However, as some of you probably know, goldfish have a pretty short life expectancy. So every few years the fish dies, and the guild goes into a panic until they can quickly find a replacement fish who looks just like Silgar and swap him out without Xanathar finding out. It's been several decades, and they've been through many, many Silgars, because they knew that if Xanathar ever found out that something had happened to his Silgar, their mentally unstable leader would fly into an unstoppable rampage and murder everyone in the guild. I was now running for a group of 4th level characters, which didn't have a prayer of fighting Xanathar. He was still way too powerful. But that's not the point of the adventure. The gang had run off with a stone of Golor, which they needed to get into the vault. They had to go in, avoid Xanathar, and get the stone. So I arrived at the Adventurers League, and 5 of my normal 7 players don't show up because it's around the holidays. So I just have 2 people, as well as 2 new players at 1st level. They've never played D&D before. I have no idea how they're going to act, and if they decide to do anything reckless, it might result in a very bad outcome for them. We start off the adventure, and actually, one of the new players was very responsible. They were taking charge, making sure not to just waltz into the next room. If anything, they were being very, very brutal.
Okay, you're going to be on point. Cover me around the corner with your spells as I charge down. We're going to go for one of the guys, slit his throat, and then pull a cord and strangle the other to death.
They thugged out pretty hard there, but to be honest, they really had to in this place where the enemies around every corner. They systematically went killing enemies one by one, going through room by room.
We need to find someone and start ripping off their fingers one by one to get information. The next guy we see, we're gonna interrogate.
Coming around the corner, juggling some balls and humming to himself, is the gang clown. Oh. He gets captured.
We're gonna make this really simple for you. We need answers.
Honk, honk. Relax, everyone loves a clown.
Take away his horn. All right, tell us what we need to know.
I think you guys are just taking things a little too seriously, don't you think? I'm just here to have a little fun and laugh it up for the yucks. Honk, honk.
Get his horn away from him. Where do these things keep coming from?
Can I roll an insight to see if I trust the clown? Never mind. I don't trust the clown.
I'm not here to have fun. I'm here to get answers.
Okay, I'll help you guys out, but only if you're able to answer my riddle.
I got another riddle for you. Flip. How many fingers of yours do you want to keep attached?
The players hid in one of the side rooms. The rogue unlocked one of the side doors, and I start describing what's inside. You see a humanoid figure with tentacles coming down from his chin. Boom! Closing the door. Wait, I haven't finished describing the room. Doesn't matter. We're not going in there. But there's block text. I have to read it to you. You can take your block text and shove it. But there's a scene. No. No. But no. No, no, no. 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 No to all of that. No. Hey, was the door unlocked? Doesn't matter. That door is staying closed. They completed the mission and made off with the Stone of Golor, which turned out could talk to them. Hey guys, how's it going? I don't really get on your friends in this stone. Turns out that the Stone of Golor has an aboleth inside of it. It sounds like we're gonna have a lot of fun.